Hello, welcome. We are live again with another DevHub Live, this time doing a workshop again. We did one last week. It was, I thought it went really great. There's a lot of stuff you could learn with the Bite and building on that with their AI agents and all kinds of stuff like that. This week, again, this is all for the Redacted Hackathon. The link is right here at the bottom. Make sure you signed up. Awesome prizes, over $600,000 in prizes. It's running through the end of October, so plenty of time to still build. And today we're bringing to you here on DevHub Live another workshop with Calimero Network. And Calimero, we don't know much about them. It's really based around privacy and building on that. We're going to talk all about that. They have been around for a very long time in the Near ecosystem. Their CEO, Sandy, who's going to be on here, comes from the original buildings of Near. And so we're going to talk about a little bit of that too as well. Now, what's exciting about this here is that, again, they have continued to build a platform that anyone can build on. It is not just a singular product necessarily. So we're going to dive into all of that. Sandy who's going to come on, is the CEO of Calimero Network. He has actually been on a few of the different shows that I've been hosted before, going all the way back to February of 2023. He came on the Ready Layer 1 podcast with me and my co-host Jared, and we talked all about Calimero then. And I will tell you, since then, it has really evolved into something that is super exciting. So before we wait any longer, let's get right to it. Let's get into the workshop, and let me bring Sandy up to the stage. All right, Sandy, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great.
See you again. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's great seeing you. I'm really excited about what you guys are doing over at Calimero, and I'd love for you just to kind of set the stage for the audience a little bit of what exactly is Calimero today and what we're going to get into from a building standpoint.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So essentially, Calimero started as a near spin-off with this idea to bring private data into Web3, because obviously not everything should be on chain and not everything should be in a public domain visible to everybody. So we started with this initial what we call Calimero V1 concept, which was private sharding. But then with execution on private sharding and trying to build some of the applications which we initially wanted to build, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about history and the evolution of how we got to the Calimero 2.0 version. We realized there were some problems by using strong consistency consensus, and we came up with a new different architecture which very fits as an extension to blockchains in general, and which allows you to actually have verifiable off-chain compute in a very efficient way to build different use cases. I am going to touch more into as we go. We have few bounties, so we propose several bounties what we think would be interesting to be built, but we also have an open build whatever you want using Near
Sure.
and Calimero. So we want people to try maybe different things we haven't think about, maybe things which are not possible, people always come up with ideas, when Ethereum started, nobody thought about DeFi, and it happened. And I think the best ideas just happen randomly, same with Near, people are experimenting with different things, and I think that's the way to go, right?
Absolutely. No, that's exciting. So let's not waste anyone else's time here. And I want to dive into it because I'm sure there's a lot to go over. And let's just take this as I'll let you drive the ship here, and we'll take questions as people come. I may pause you for some questions myself as I'm trying to learn and go all over this, but I'll let you take over the reins here.
Amazing. I think the more questions the better, and at any point if something's not clear, just stop me and ask me.
Perfect.
So I'm going I said a little bit about why we decided to build Calimero. So first point, not everything should be off chain. One, it can be very inefficient for certain use cases, but it can be very efficient for some others. It can be also expensive. I added a star. It depends how you do it. Do you define expensive? If you're messaging with friends and you have to pay for every single transaction, maybe then it becomes expensive. But if you're sending a lot of money, it's much more cheaper than using banks. So it's really how you define the use case you want to build, and what tools you're gonna use for doing this. Secondly, security and privacy concerns. There are security and privacy concerns by putting stuff into the public domain, or if you use centralized providers. If you use Slack, right? Slack has all the rights to do whatever they want to do with your data. they can block you, they can kill your account, they can delete your data. So there is like a counterparty risk if you depend solely on centralized providers. But if you use public domain and you encrypt it, still there is risk of losing the decryption keys, or like leaking the decryption keys, and it can be a problem. The other thing which I talk often about is like use what you preach. I think like Web3 generally has this problem, which I call use it what you preach, like problem, because everybody talks about, oh, I really don't like people that exploit my data. I really don't like that banks rip me off when I send transactions. But then still, we often still use these centralized providers and are not so good at adopting our technology. And like what we are kind of trying to solve is like, how do we build really good user experience apps to offboard people from these centralized providers? And I think like one of the things which we really thought like I think I learned at Near, and like some previous companies I worked at, like we are a developer tool, and it has to be very, very simple for developers to build on it, and they should not think about, oh, is my data encrypted? How do I build it? How do I build a peer-to-peer network? Like, how do I share? How do I manage permissions? Like all this stuff has to be really, really simple, like building a Web2 app. So like we wanted to build a framework which essentially allows developers to really, really easily build these types of things. And I said, like, we had some like general assumptions of like what we wanted to achieve. And like few main points which we decided that like there should be no central authority which stores your data at any point. All the data should be like client-side verified. So like if I interact with Joe and Joe sends me some data and like we interact on like any type of app, I should be able to verify like this data is actually coming from Joe, that Joe has permissions to do these certain things inside this app. Also, like we really wanted strong encryptions. Like we wanted to ensure that like all the data transfers and whatever ever leaves the like public domain is encrypted. And like we wanted to have local storage data. So like if I use some app, I want to have full control of like where my application and data lives. And I just added this, like if you want like a very, very simple, like this is going to be a very technical talk. And like we're gonna touch many, many points, but like Max from our BD team built Nearly 5, like explain me like I'm 5. What is Calimero? And there's like an article link in the end. Like I'm happy to share the presentation for people who want to see it, or they can just like screenshot either this or the link. And essentially, like what high-level overview like Calimero is. So when we started with this private sharding idea, which was essentially a sidechain built on top of Near. And then we realized, okay, like this really doesn't scale for like the certain use cases we are interested in. So like we, reshuffled the architecture and we decided to like, okay, let's make some compromises to make this work better. But at like, let's say a technical level, we have some storage. The storage is device dependent. So like all the data is stored on the user device. If you use a mobile phone, it can be RocksDB, or like it can be something else in the future. If you use like your laptop or a server, it can be, again, like RocksDB. But Calimero nodes could also run inside the browser, so you use your local storage browser. On top of that, we have like a peer-to-peer networking layer. And like what this layer essentially does, like we use peer-to-peer to have encrypted data streams between nodes. So let's say you have a social group with 5 friends. Every friend will get the replica of the data, and they will be able to verify this data, and the data will be encrypted, so only these 5 people can see it. Or like you have a DAO and you have proposals, the same things apply. So like we kind of abstract away this for you. I will show later on how. Then we have a runtime execution layer, which is essentially like the layer which verifies all the transactions which happen peer-to-peer. And like we use Wasm because we believe that Wasm is the future. It allows you to build like in any development language you want. So currently we support Rust, but in the future you can add, JavaScript, you can add Python, you can add like any other language which compiles to Wasm, and like this really broadens your like developer, total addressable developer market. And I think like, Web3 developer market is still very small. And like if we really want to succeed as an industry, like obviously there's AI, there's going to be a lot of generated code. but a lot of stuff will still be written by developers. And like we want to get this Web2 crowd. Like, I love privacy. I'm in Web2. I want to try it out. And then on top of that, like we had really a strongly consistent, algorithm, like proof of authority. Everybody had to see it, and like we replaced it with a CRDT. Essentially, like what a CRDT is like a conflict-free replicated data type. So like we kind of sacrifice a very strong consistency over efficiency of data streams. And then like obviously you have like an application binary currently in Rust, later on in the like other frameworks. And then like I'm gonna show some use cases how easy it is to build. And like my assumption is that like Web3 wallets are becoming the new SSO, like login SSO of the future. Like everybody will have a wallet. So like what we do to our node, you can attach different wallets. So like if you have a Near wallet, you can attach your like account ID from Near, so that similar to like on WhatsApp, we have a phone number, right? And if I have your phone number, I can like reach out to you. So same here, if I know like your account ID, I can just like find your node through the ID. And then we have like different developer SDKs. And then like, we are very focused on like, this part of data replication. And like blockchains are really good at strong consistency. So for example, we use Near for certain things. So like we use Near for like application network configuration. So like all the members list, all the configuration application versions, or the package management, all of this happens on Near because we want like strong consistency between the nodes of like how they communicate, etc. And then also like we believe that like there's a strong cohesion between off-chain and on-chain. So we have like support for like interacting with smart contracts on Near. So like you can read state from our nodes, and like you can submit transactions, craft them. Maybe in the future some chain abstraction stuff. I think you can even do it now, but we don't have an SDK for this at the moment. It will come.
Here, let me pause you right here. So we have a first question that maybe fits into what you're just talking about. So the first question that comes in is, what chains data is Calimero working with? So it sounds like it's starting with basically the Near ecosystem, and then we'll go out from there.
Yeah, so currently we support like three chains, I would say. So we have like Near, we have Starknet, and ICP, and like we will support probably EVM chains as well. So like you can mix and match whatever you want. So like you could have somebody with a MetaMask account and somebody with a Near account, and they can interact in one DAO. Like one of the proposals I have is like a cross-chain DAO. So let's say all the very, very things which you wanted to be fast executed, like maybe sending transactions and payments, can happen via chain abstraction on Near. The private data can be on Calimero, but then you can pay private DAOs on like other networks, right?
Nice.
Let's say you have a DAO of like five different wallets, and like you invest on different tokens on different chains. Like that could be or like payroll, right? Like somebody joins your company and say, I want to get paid on Near, or I want to be paid on Ethereum in USDC. So like you can define these rules and then cross-chain pay people as like, that's like one of the hackathon ideas we have as well.
Nice.
So like, yeah, that's high level overview. And I wanted to explain, like, private off-chain compute, like I really see is like, obviously we have rollups. And I think like rollups are still like a blockchain domain because they settle directly onto like a layer one, right? For us, like we are kind of a separate network. We can live on our own, but we integrate blockchains for like certain capabilities. And I wanted to make a distinction. So like when we started with the sidechain, like we were kind of a blockchain type of protocol, right? So like we used proof of stake, proof of authority, like we had block times, we had finality. Now with CRDTs, we use like instant state diffs. So like if you change some data, you just submit the state diff to the peers, and they're like able to verify under certain conditions, like is this state transition valid? Obviously, it's not as good as a blockchain. Like you cannot do payments on Calimero, but you can use Near for payments, and then use Calimero for like the other stuff you want to do. Also, I think like one of the different things is like we really want to be on user devices. So I see us as like a VPN replacement one day in the future. So like running on PC servers, browsers, mobiles, while like blockchains are like remote nodes, like RPC nodes, validator nodes, archival nodes. So that's a general distinction. Also, like we are all client side verified, so everything what you verify on your device. While you don't have global consensus, you have local consensus, unlike blockchains. And then I mentioned like several times, you have like eventual consistency between the nodes. So I added some articles, like if you really want to learn a little bit, like what we call this like self-sovereign applications,
Mm-hmm.
and for the reasons of like storing your data, owning your money with interactions with blockchains. Like we have written some cool articles, so you can screenshot this or find it on the Twitter, and also you can find the learn explaining like I'm fine on our GitHub. And then like I'm gonna give you a high level overview of like how to build on Calimero. So like we have I think solid documentation. We are still like we are still developer preview testnet mode. So like
Mm-hmm.
we are still changing things, and I'm gonna talk about a roadmap later. But like our documentation is pretty solid, so you can check out the documentation. You can check out the quick start of like how to build a new application. You have the protocol SDK written in Rust. There's like few examples I'm gonna share as well. We have the client SDK, which is written in TypeScript. Also, in the future, we're gonna have probably different client SDKs, and maybe we're gonna have even bounties for people who want to, be external contributors to Calimero to join us. And we have like Mero CTL, which is the CLI tool for debugging and general usage of like while building on your device. Also, we have like a core app template. So like if you just want to bootstrap an app very quickly and test it out, you can just go to the GitHub and test that as well. So like the Calimero GitHub is public. Like we recently open sourced it. We added all the issues. We added all the roadmap. You can see like all the commits, the progress, the discussions. We're gonna really try to push the community to have like this transparency and for them to collaborate with us and like get involved in the project. So like please
Mm-hmm.
check it out. Give us a star if you can. It really means a lot to me and the team if we get GitHub stars on the project. And I mean, running, it's just like some cargo run, and you can get a coordinator for like your local development to help you out and like get the nodes running. And there's a question: what is the stack to stream the data? ERPC or better stuff like subgraphs, substream firehouse, substream powered subgraphs? To stream the data to the blockchain uh, for the externalities, like or generally, or between like the Calimero nodes. If you can write it down, and then I will answer later,
Yeah.
uh, so I don't answer the wrong question. And then, like, I mean, building your first application. I don't know if people can see. These are like just screenshots from our documentation. So I like really didn't want to explain every single thing. I think the docs are quite solid, but I mean, if you can run Rust and Cargo, and if you can read like basic documentation, you can like just test it out. We also have an admin dashboard, which is essentially a developer tool to like help you out managing everything, so you don't have to do all of this stuff through CLI, which makes life easier. Um, but like this shows essentially like how do you install an app, how do you create a context. So Calimero runs on application context. Every application context is like, think of it as a sharded peer-to-peer network with data streams for that specific app. So if you have, let's say, if you wanted to build Telegram, every single channel will be a data stream and one application context, like if you designed it properly, and one encrypted group. Or if you have a DAO, like every DAO would become, one application config, which you initialize, and you have an ID and like the members list and all of the things mentioned in the documentation. You can also see like, I mean, interacting with the node is like pretty simple. So you can just use the CTL to like you create a new identity, attach a new identity, list all the identities, list all the context for a specific identity, all the things you would need to like basically develop an app very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Check
Let
out
me
the documentation.
I wanted to ask a quick question here. So the way I think this is maybe kind of different than where I think, again, I want to get away from the differentiation between like a blockchain app and kind of what you guys are doing. So because this is peer to peer, this is where only my application is sharing data amongst those peers, or am I taking in all of the Calimero data as like a torrent system?
No, you will only get the data you are interested in. So
Okay.
if you run an application for like one channel and you have a channel with 5 friends, you're gonna only you only get this data for this specific thing, right? I think that's like what is different from blockchains. Like blockchains have to, reconcile consensus for like everybody, right? Even if
Right.
they're sharded, you have one smart contract per thing, but then the thing is like many people can use the smart contract, and like that's what peer is really good. It's really like horizontal scaling at the contract level.
Mm-hmm.
And here it's like you just like if you have a company, right, with 10 people and you want to have better Slack, only these 10 people will observe the data. Or if you have channels, only the people in the channels will be able to observe this data. Like same for Jira, same for DAO, say maybe for groups on social, maybe like different things can be built. But
So when
only
you're
the
saying no, sorry, when you're saying nodes, you don't mean like validators. You simply just
yes,
mean the
yes,
application users connecting data.
exactly. Like when we say that a node can be like Calimero node bundled inside an app. You don't even know there's a node, like a node
Right.
running. It's just like some software which verifies and runs the execution of the app you built. And like the way you build the apps, I mean, it's like you have this SDK. We took a lot of stuff from Near, like because we worked at Near, some of us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we adapted the Near runtime for our use case. Like you define like what are the structures, you define something like events, which get emitted on certain things. You define the application logic, and that's it. Like you have a microservice, peer-to-peer microservice building, very very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then like all the node, the Calimero node like does everything below, like all the verification, all the encryption, all the peer-to-peer mechanisms, everything. And obviously, like we have Near integration, so like you can log in, I think, with all major Near wallets, attach your identity to the node. You can also like query data from the chain, like with standard, RPC SDK, and you can just like submit payloads by signing them by wallet if you want, or you could like at the application level implement, threshold signatures or like some other type of like transaction signing and user layer to
Mm-hmm.
submit these. And like we have the core app template. I mean, the core app template is just a counter, but it gives you a basic understanding of like, how do you connect your wallet, how do you log in, how do you attach the identity, how do you build a Calimero service contract. You have a front end, how do you connect to the front end? So it's like a hello world type of application for us. And obviously, like, I mean, we are a very transparent public community project, and like we started with this private sharding thing and evolved into this. And now we are running a bunch of hackathons, and we really want the community to get involved. And like you can get involved either on GitHub. We have discussions. Reach out on GitHub. Say hi on GitHub if you want. Create an issue, whatever. Also, we have a Discord, so you can just jump into the Discord and like say hi, guys. I'm interested. I would love to learn more. I would love to explore maybe like some opportunities in the ecosystem, and just reach out, and like we are happy to jump on a call. Like we have like an all-in-one kind of support resource you can check out, and again, just reach out to us. And I wanted to talk a little bit also about like the roadmap. I think it's important to like, we are like testnet stage, and anybody who wants to decide, okay, do I want to build on this testnet project, which is going mainnet soon? I think they should have an understanding like what is coming after the developer preview. So like we started with a different coordinator architecture, and now we implemented the CRDTs. So Q3, this is going live. So like that's getting finalized. We have gated context. We have a multi-chain config, and we also have a desktop application for Mac and Linux. Like all of this stuff is in the progress. Like you can go to the GitHub of the desktop app. We are still like developing, improving it, but like you can follow the progress of the things which are gonna be like finalized this quarter. But
The
what's more
desktop
interesting
app
is
is sorry 1 second. The desktop app
like
is
go on.
to help build. So that's to
No,
like
desktop app
initialize.
is not. It's like a consumer thing you can install. Like
Oh,
instead of
okay.
installing, a VPN, I like could install it on your laptop, and like you
Oh,
just have
interesting.
an easy way. Like you have an easy way to manage it. Like let's say you want to stop it, you want to change some settings, you want to delete something. It's essentially a widget which runs next to like in the top bar. It's
Right.
just an easier way to do interactions with the node. Like
Interesting.
you
Okay.
know it's yeah, it's interesting. Like I should have included a screenshot of it as well. But like what's more interesting maybe is a Q4 roadmap. So in the Q4 roadmap we want to allow communication between apps, because currently if you build an app on Calimero, like every application context is a silo. And what's coming in Q4 is that you will be able to plug and play these apps. So let's say somebody builds a calendar app for a company and somebody wants to build a Calendly app, you can just connect these. Or if somebody has built a private DAO application with cross-chain payments and somebody's built payroll, you'll be able to like interact between these to like not rebuild every single thing by yourself. Like full composability. And
Mm-hmm.
also like we have like some contract permissions, but developers have to do a lot of stuff on their own at the moment. So what we want to do in Q4 is like fine-grained permissions on the app level. So it's really easy to define like who can encrypt what, who has permissions to change what state, and like some other things. And then also, like, obviously, if you run everything on your local device, there's the tasks which are heavy, which you will probably not be able to do. So what we plan to launch in Q4 is like specialized node. And think of it that this is like specialized node or like delegated compute nodes with partners from the Web3 ecosystem. So you could have, a delegated compute node for, live computing. You could have one for, let's say, spam filtering. Like if somebody builds spam filtering on Near with, encrypted data, you could like delegate this to somebody else and like pay for these services. So like cloud-like software as a service APIs, but decentralized.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we cannot build everything. Like we're really focusing on these like we all facilitate these integrations and means to use them, but like we're really focusing on like how do we build the best product for like data, verifiable data between people. And then like 2025, so we obviously want to have new contract languages, JavaScript and others. If somebody from community wants to build them even before, they can reach out and like you can have a discussion about a bounty for this. We do not have the bandwidth at the moment to do so. Also, we'll have mobile and browser libraries. We already tested some of these approaches, but it's harder to run on mobile and browser than on desktop and servers. So like it's gonna take us a bit time to like stabilize these features. And also like we want to have better privacy on the node level. So like we will implement some like network anonymization techniques for like shielding your node's IPs and like maybe connecting to Tor and like some other things. And also like I mentioned specialized nodes. So like once the specialized nodes, you will have to like apply and reach out to us to like add you. But in 2024, we actually want to build like some specialized node compute marketplace. So like you can just have a means to pay through Calimero and like get listed on a marketplace and get paid and run like any decentralized compute you want. So it's gonna be a lot of like partnerships on that side and really figuring out the integrations. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about like, what to build. We have 3 zillion ideas. We picked like few which we think are really cool showcases, and in my view, some of them could become a company even after the hackathon if people decide to build on it. But we have decided for like 4 tracks. Two of them are very near related. So like near is very AI driven and also very chain abstraction driven. So that made sense. One was, like just general Calimero privacy, like build something on Calimero which like enhances privacy. more open category. And then like open innovation challenges, like build the craziest thing you can, and we're gonna be happy about it. And I think like the fourth one is like if somebody really hits it on the nail, like that could be the winner.
Yeah.
Like do not stick to the ones we propose. Like if you stick one to the ones like we propose, like high probability we're gonna like it because we've written them. But I think if somebody has a crazy idea, go for it. Really go for it.
I love it.
Um, and then there's like I just added two ideas. So like privacy preserving AI training. So we thought about this idea that every Calimero nodes hold some data, and then you do like federated learning together. Like you don't reveal the data, but you train the model and then you share the model with somebody else. And then
Hmm.
they do the training and then they share the model with somebody else. So you kind of do federated learning. If you're really interested in this, our CTO Chabi has some ideas how to build it with TensorFlow, and they're like their framework. They already support some of these things. Um, so that's one of the ideas. The second idea is, I mean, build a plugin for Calimero. That's quite cool. We would love to have AIs writing more code for our apps, so we get more apps built. If you want to play with this, like that would be pretty awesome. The second trick is just chain abstraction. So the idea is to build a private payroll management tool. There's like two components on Near. One is either pay only on Near or use chain abstraction to pay on other chains as well. And
Hmm.
then the part of the privacy is like, make the employee records peer to peer. So like if I'm the employer and you are Joe, we should have a platform like where I share what is the salary, what is the contract, what are my personal data, and only me and you are able to see this data without anybody. And like if you execute a payroll and I issue an invoice, everything happens peer to peer between us without ever relying on a centralized server. Also, like we could maybe people could build DocuSign into this, and many other things could be built into it, and like it could become eventually a company. But for the hackathon, I mean, like build a demo which works, and we're gonna be
Hmm.
happy. And then let's discuss more. On the Calimero privacy, I mean, I mentioned the DAO. I will showcase just a little example of how to do the DAO. One other thing which I also it seems interesting is like private cap management table. So we seen this controversy this year with Carta selling founders' data to third parties, which reached out to the investors and tried to do secondary sales without the founders even knowing. And it really became, borderline. Yeah, I'm not gonna say the word, but it was not nice, right? If you don't
Right.
give somebody your data, they should not use your data without your consent, in my
Totally.
view. So like we came up with this idea that like let's build a Carta showcase where people like founders can add their investors and the shares and maybe tokenize the shares on chain, and have like private peer-to-peer OTC deals, or like secondary markets where like they say, oh, we're
Hmm.
gonna sell, and then submit to certain investors. They're gonna sell, they sign it, they find another investor, and I mean, just a simple showcase of like having a cap table tokenized where you can transfer it. I think that's a good start. But then, like, you can build, on top of this. And
Sure.
one other thing is, like company calendar application. So something I would use at the company, we use still Google heavily, and sometimes I'm ashamed of it. But like self-hosting everything becomes hard, and like I think
Sure.
one of the problems of hosting everything is what Calimero tries to solve. Like it really gives you one environment to host everything. Like you just make sure that the node is up and you're fine.
Right.
And I would love to have like a company calendar or company Slack or like some of these types of apps which could be replaced for people who really care about privacy. And last, I mean, private DAO. So I have this chart. If you want to look into it, it's public, but essentially showcase like you have four members in a DAO, you have four nodes. Somebody sends a proposal. This proposal gets replicated to all the other DAO members. They can vote on it. They use a threshold signature to vote on it. So it's like one signature which gets rolled, and then like once it's a yes or no, that signature gets submitted to Near, and then the payment gets executed or not. I think like that's a simple example, and then you could do other things by using this as well. And then last thing is like the open one. Do whatever you want. Also, if you have a good idea, just send me a message. Like you can find me on Telegram, you can find me on Twitter, you can use the Calimero, DM, GitHub, Discord, like whatever you want. Just reach out to us and say like, we are interested and like we're gonna facilitate. Also, we will provide a lot of support. So like we are happy to jump on calls with you guys, brainstorm the ideas, discuss the ideas, help you maybe design even the thing. Support with like maybe some features are missing and you think they really need to be implemented, like we can maybe implement some of them now or in the future. So like any discussion is good. And like we have prices like 3 price categories, like the number first one place is 8K, second place is 4K, third place is 1K, so it's like 13K total bounty. You have a link to all the bounties, and like the 3 key objectives we want to see is innovation. We Even for the ones we proposed, maybe somebody comes up with some cool twist or somebody
Yeah.
comes with a technical solution we haven't thought of. Second one is functionality, so we would love to see something which works, right? We like ideally it's a demo, but a functional demo. The more the better. If you can get it to even a alpha product stage, like that would be amazing. And then scalability, obviously, like the way how you design the solution is quite important. Like we will take that into account. But I think that's gonna be like the least interested one. I think functionality and innovation
Hmm.
are like the top two, and then scalability is like if we have few projects we cannot decide, and we're gonna take the design
Right.
into architecture. Can bounties
Sure.
be stacked? I mean, if you can build 3 amazing projects and you're better than everybody else, we are happy to give you all the 3 reward, or all of the 3 or all 3 rewards.
Yeah,
Um,
I also say across the whole redacted, you can stack bounties. So someone could submit to your bounty as well as another one with the same project. If it wins in both categories, they get both prizes.
yeah, same with us. Like if you build 3 projects and they're all better than everybody else, like I'm more than happy to give you the reward.
Right.
Like we are meritocracy, build the best thing, and we gonna reward you. And maybe we throw like if there's some, like really more projects than 3, maybe we throw in some
Sure.
additional thing on top. Like if somebody really kills it, like it will be sad to not give them a reward.
For sure.
And yeah, that's it. Thank you, and keep shipping, keep working. I think Web3 is growing every day, privacy is growing every day, um, and like, let's see what you guys can build.
Nice. Uh, Let me ask you a few questions that I kind of came up with as you were going that maybe the audience might have too, especially for those maybe watching on replay. Um, I want to ask first about the wallet piece of it. Are you using the wallet login as part of the encryption process? So is my private keys part of that process, or is it simply just an identification part?
No, so the node has their own encryption key,
Okay.
an encryption tree, to be more specific. So we use your node as an identifier and a possibility to recover in the future. So like let's say you back up your data to a specialized node and you
Hmm.
lost your device, like the device the data is hosted. Like you could have encrypted data, right? Backups.
Hmm.
Um, and then you would verify with your wallet that you are able to get this data
I
with
got you.
your
Right.
key.
Okay.
So
So
like
it's
there's
an
gonna be a mix
ownership
between
piece.
your key and the thing. Yes.
Got it.
um, or like to get also receive the data from a peer. So let's say me and you are chatting and like you have the logs. I can say just here's my new node ID and I can you stream me the state, right? So like there's gonna be some administrative and identity functionality tied to the
Hmm.
wallet.
Sure.
But the node has their own like encryption stuff. Um,
Got it.
and maybe we use sometimes like the wallet for like certain things. At the moment, we don't.
Okay. Can I still use the full account abstraction model on Near for the wallet process? Like, could I have my users sign up with email, but then have my key in the background?
Oh, I do not know. Do we support fast near? I would say
Well, not even just. Well, let's say fast near. Let's just say in general. Is it about the wallet logging in specifically, or is it about the private key as the identifier?
I think it's the account ID, if I
Okay.
am fully correct on
Okay.
near. But I cannot say 100%. But if it's not, we're gonna change it. We're
Okay.
gonna probably implement it that way in the future.
Sounds good.
I Yes, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, that sounds good. You kind of answered it. I had wrote in my notes about like the node resources that it needs. So right now it looks like it's running on desktop only. You coming to mobile and browser. Um, is this something where again, uh, if I build like a Slack version of this, right? So everyone's communicating through it. Does there have to be that persistent node that is always running, or is it simply just the fact that at some point our machines will all like sync state at some point?
So yeah, that's a very very good question, and a question we spent a lot of time thinking about. So like, what we wanna have at the like, there's either or, like depends on the use case.
Mm-hmm.
But like, either you will run your own node somewhere for the persistency, or you will use a specialized node, which are like these decentralized providers which allow you for a temporary time to store the data while you're offline.
Got
Or
it.
like somebody else is offline. Let's say I change the state, I will submit it, and then when he comes back online, he will pull off this state. But this the state will be encrypted. It
Mm-hmm.
will be only temporarily stored between the parts. But if you're a developer or a company, then you can run just one
Right.
node which is
Okay.
always running, and it just becomes this a relay between the people, right?
Right.
Um, so like, or you can run your personal server, right? Like that's also an option. Instead of having your desktop, I can decide like at my home I have my personal server, which just hosts all the stuff as like, like a email server. You have pops, and like once you go online on your email, it pulls like SMTP, right? Pulls your
Right.
data there, but it's like encrypted, right? Like it's like you cannot
Yeah.
get it. So like it's really depending on the use case. Like if you trust the public domain, the guys who run the specialized nodes, I mean, use them. Like if you're
Sure.
building something which, but like maybe if you're building a company chat, like running one server is not a hustle. Or paying somebody to run it for you, like a specialized provider. Maybe in the future, Calimero provides like,
Mm-hmm.
$5 a month and run a node. And like we cannot see your data, but like, we are aligned with you guys that we're not gonna snoop, even
Right.
if we could,
Right. Right. Right.
right?
No, that's
Like there is,
interesting.
approaches to it.
Yeah, I like that, and I always try to drive some parallels, especially for developers who are coming from like Web 2, whatever else. So again, here where you're not saying that, I mean, you have the option to run in a manner that does not have a centralized server. But if you're comfortable, if it makes sense for maybe what you're again, like the product you're building for scaling, you can still have that same mental model of there's a server sitting in the middle here. We can pull state back and forth from it, and my application runs accordingly from there. And it takes the pressure off of making sure that all my users are always online or whatever it might be, right? So like as long as we have that mental model, I guess, of architecture doesn't really change in this example.
I agree. I agree. I agree. And we even discussed, like, I mean, if people trust Google Drive and iCloud to store their encrypted data, I mean, they could back up the data there as well.
Mm,
I mean,
interesting.
people do
Yeah.
it for WhatsApp. You encrypt it, right? And you put it there. And like maybe the worst thing which can happen is they censor you or they nuke your data. But like if you back it up on three different places, the likelihood of data getting lost is borderline zero, let's say.
Yeah.
It really depends on the use case, right? Like you want to provide this framework for building, private peer-to-peer compute.
Hmm.
And then obviously, some people will use blockchain, some people will use maybe some centralized component, still maybe store a little bit data somewhere about the thing. Maybe some people will go full degen and just use specialized nodes for data storage. And I think there's use cases there as well. Like, like nothing, I mean, I will not say nothing bad can happen, but
Right.
generally you should be fine, right?
Awesome. Yeah. My last question here. Again, if anyone else in the audience has questions, you're always welcome. Just put them in the comments, and we'll grab them quick before we wrap up here. But just and we're okay if you kind of go technical, just geared towards developers. The cross context piece. Can you talk a little bit more about like how that will work or how it works?
Yes. So the idea is like generally the idea will be that you will add like currently you will add a specialized node, like you will add a member. The network context ID will become a member of the other network, so they will
Mm-hmm.
be able to like via access control list either read some data or send some data. So let's say I can give per like let's say I have a calendar. I can have a function which says like return my calendar, but only with blocks,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
Like remove the data of what is inside, the title with who have I meeting. Just return like what are the available slots, and
Space.
then
Right.
somebody could build on top of that like another application which is able to call this function to read this data, and then also maybe submit a slot. So it will say like this application context can submit a new invite, or they can read the blocks of the app. Like let's say that's
Nice.
an example.
Okay.
Or like if you have I mean there's other use cases where this is, but like you will give permissions, like essentially like the other network will virtually become part of your network, and they will be able to like either decrypt some certain state to call some functions, or
Mm-hmm.
they will be able to like submit some state which will like then be verified on the other side. um like that's
Interesting.
kind of like the high level idea. We haven't started implementing it yet. Like that's for Q4.
Sure.
But that's like high level design how we're thinking about it.
And so that's why it ties in with the ACLs coming as well, because you need to be able to have that more granular access.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Somebody's asking how can we reach out to Sandy or Calimero. Um, so I said either join our Discord and ask, or send us a GitHub ticket issue or comment in the discussion, or you can reach out also to me on Telegram. Like my Telegram is Chef Sale. If you go to my Twitter, it's the same on Telegram as well.
Perfect. Perfect. Yes.
Or send me a
Um,
DM on Twitter, like that works as well. Like whatever means, we will figure it out. Maybe on some place we're gonna be slower, but we're gonna respond in a reasonable manner. Thanks for taking my question. Can you type it in? I mean, can we share my Telegram, like my Twitter?
that's it, right?
And it's
That's
the
just
same. Yeah, that's like the same as my Telegram account. Or like GitHub as well. I'm on GitHub as well, so you can post on GitHub as well. Like anything works. And
cool.
Discord. And can we share the slides maybe, or like how can I share slides? Okay, I will figure it out. Maybe we post it on Calimero the slides, and
Yeah.
people
So
can
yeah,
see.
if you want to post
Or
it on
like I
your
will ask the team. I will ask the team on Calimero Twitter to post the links.
perfect.
Maybe not today or
Yeah.
tomorrow. We'll figure out. But yeah, follow us on Twitter, and we will post it there.
Yeah, we can also link to it in the show notes for on YouTube and stuff like that. So people watching
That's awesome
later.
as well. That's
Yeah,
awesome
we
as
could do
well.
that. Awesome. Sandy, this was great. I learned a lot. I'm
Mhm.
excited to see what people build. I think what you guys are doing is really cool. I really appreciate the mission statement as well. So I wish you guys the best of luck, and I hope people really push the limits here and build some cool stuff with you guys.
Fine. Thank you so much. And one more time, very nice speaking with you. We haven't speak for a long time. Maybe you invite me to the Chain Abstracted podcast as well one day in the future. Once we get mainnet, you are part of it, right?
Yeah.
You host it.
I don't actually host it, no. But I'll
You
get
do
you
not
on there.
host.
Don't worry. I'll hook you
Maybe
up.
you get me
We'll,
one day.
we'll,
One
we'll,
day.
we'll,
Once we launch
we'll-
mainnet, then get me on there. Get me on
perfect.
there. And yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, I invite everybody. Please, guys, reach out to us. I really would love as many hackers, and like we really want to provide all the support and work with you guys. So yeah, happy hacking.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sandy. I appreciate the time today.
Yeah, no worries.
All
Yeah,
right.
see you. Bye.
Bye bye. All right, guys, that was awesome. I personally learned a lot. This is something that I think is like really, really cool. Let me bring up here. I'm gonna actually show the redacted stuff just so you guys can see a little bit more because there are actually some questions I saw as well. Here, let me pull this up. Okay, so a couple things that are to be aware of with redacted here if you are participating. So please go to the site here. I can share let's share the URL too so everyone can see that really clearly. Uh, Here we go. Redacted.devpost.com. Register here. This is where all the information is. There's also a digest that goes out, and you can get information about like what's going on. So go through the updates and see, what's happening. Again, live streams like this, other workshops that are going on that you want to join into, you can go see. In general, again, all the rules are right here. You can break it down. There's tons of different, again, prizes. We're almost at $700,000 in prizes. That's amazing. So much great stuff you can build. You can stack bounties. So if there's things that make sense for you to build and to be in for two different categories, you can absolutely go and do that. There's actually it was a good question here. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah. So again, team size or rules, everything's on here. Again, you're more than welcome to have a team of different sizes. One of the things that we've been talking about on some different episodes really is having a plan and really trying to experiment and see what you can do. You have until October 25th. That's a lot of time still, so you have over a month still to build. You can try different things. Uh, That's a great question. If you're in the near ecosystem, no, we are not the same guy. We have been confused before. That's a hilarious question. Um, but this is something where I really would love for people, especially developers, to try stuff. Come talk to us at DevHub, ask us questions, say, "Hey, I tried this, I got stuck," and we can work through it. Again, this is where there's so much happening in the near ecosystem with partners within the ecosystem directly with AI, chain abstraction, just general, again, all the normal blockchain stuff as well is all still in here. So really encourage you to go and try that stuff. We have tons of support. You can get to all those links through the redacted dev post site, but also too, here. So, and again, you can see all of that stuff for under resources. If you want to get help, you can see our telegrams. Come jump in to the different telegram chats. We are more than happy to help both the DevRels from DevHub as well as just community members. It's an active community to everyone there to help. Also, too, if you are interested in going to the IRL event, and let me pull that up. I have it somewhere. Here we go. Here's the link. Redacted Bangkok.ai. There is an IRL event in November. So it's after the online hackathon is over. That's where they'll announce the winners and things like that. You do not have to go to win a prize. It's a separate event that's in conjunction with this online hackathon. So again, we encourage you to participate in one or both. Those opportunities are all there for you. Also here at near DevHub, we have a lot of different other things going on, and I really wanted to bring attention to a couple different things that I'm really excited about. Let me just pull it up here on my site so you guys can see this. All right, here we are. If you haven't already seen, there's an app that we are supporting called Race of Sloth. And Race of Sloth is all about open source contributions. And coming up here in October, you want to see the Bangkok link? We'll bring that right back up real quick while I'm talking. No problem. So Wraith of Sloths is something that we're really proud of, and we're excited to see that people participate, being able to get rewarded for building on open source. And one of the cool things here that is happening is not only can you start earning points and building, through contributing to open source through Graceless Lost. They actually have an event happening this October, and let's see if I have a fun image for. I don't know if I have a fun image for it, but let me kind of give you an overview. So it's called Rust Oktoberfest, so like Race of Sloth Oktoberfest. This October, Race of Sloth is hosting a month-long event where you can contribute to open source Rust and JavaScript projects and win your share of 10,000 in near stablecoin. So that will be in USD stablecoin. So that is something where, again, it's all about meaningful contributions and having fun. There is no real special criteria, which is really awesome here. You just do your best if you try to contribute to some of the different projects that are there. From October 1st, which is the start date, to October 31st. All your different submissions, just, you tag the Race of Sloth bot in any GitHub comment, and that was all listed here on their website. And it will automatically be tracked. All the contributions will be reviewed on November 4th. Winners will be announced shortly after. Make sure you're following their Twitter, which is all linked on here on their website. And from there, you can get involved. It's a great opportunity to get rewarded for contributing to open source. You can see they have a leaderboard with people who are actually, contributing. They have both month and all time. It's a fun way to get involved, and you can see all the different projects that are available to actually contribute to, and you can see it's quite a long list. So there's a lot of different places for you to get involved and contribute to open source, and in the month of October, maybe win some money. So lots of good stuff, a lot of good opportunities for developers here. We're really excited here at DevHub to, make sure that, developers are having an opportunity to, feel like that they are a meaningful part of the community, because these communities don't happen without developers. Near doesn't happen without developers. We want to make sure that you're a big part of that. So let's wrap it up here. We will be back next week with more workshops. There's going to be more stuff going on. Keep following along here at our stuff. If you don't already get it, let me pull it up here real quick. So we have a newsletter at DevHub, and that newsletter comes out every Monday. It is full of all different great resources of what's happening in the Near ecosystem for developers, updates to the SDKs, to the tooling, things that are happening, events, whatever you could think of. It's all there for developers. We synthesize it for you every Monday, so make sure you're subscribed to that and check that out. But until then, I'm your host, Joe. Thank you so much to Sandy and Calimero Network for joining us today, giving us a great workshop. And if you have any questions, please make sure you reach out to us at DevHub, to Calimero, to anyone in the Near ecosystem, and we will be there to help and support you. Keep building, keep hacking, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.